Hi everyone, this is Heather from the Flourish.Academy. It is Q&A Thursday. I have your questions and hopefully I have some answers. So if you have anything additional that you would like to ask, please do so in the comments and I'll just get through as many as I can. The first question is from Erica. She said, I have major problems writing my About Me page on my website. I just don't know what to say. Any advice? And I posted a link to a live video that I had done previously with 7 tips for writing your About page. So make sure you check that out. I know Erica saw that. I just wanted to let the rest of you know. Jordan then says, I want to start offering print products from Miller's Lab. They sent me my sample prints and I can't tell what is off. They suggested using a certain calibrator to calibrate my monitor so that what I see is how the prints will look. Do you have any experience with this or suggestions on how to go about it? Yes, I do, Jordan. I have fairly extensive experience with calibrating monitors because I've had multiple monitors over the years. I use a spider calibrator and it's worked really well for me, but I don't want to go down that path yet. Because here is my approach when I'm talking with students about calibrating their monitors. This is what I suggest. I would like you to edit some photos from 5 different sessions in 5 different lighting environments and include 1 black and white. Upload those prints for test to multiple labs that you might want to use. When you get the prints back, just lay them out on your desk and look at them and ask yourself, do these look how I expected them to look? And if the answer to that is yes, then praise the Lord. Your monitor is fine and there's nothing that you have to do. But the problem is when those prints come back and they don't look the same as what you see on your monitor, or they look different than you expected. So Jordan, you had said, I can't tell what is off. It really does help if you can identify the problem. So when you say off, you need to be able to look at the photo in print and look at your monitor and say, okay, the photos on the monitor are brighter and the photos in the print are darker, or the photos in this print look really blue, but they're more warm over here. It really does help to identify the problem. Stephanie says, I noticed my photos look super saturated on Facebook versus Photoshop. That is a different issue. That is a different issue completely. For now, we're talking about calibrating the monitor for print. I'll come back to that. But calibrating the monitor for print, you look at the prints, how do they look? And by the way, get a black and white print and you should be able to see, does it look like it's a true black and white, or is there a color cast or something strange going on? Okay, so identify the problem if you can. I have calibrated my iMac, which is sitting behind me, and hi Melissa, hi, thanks for joining us. That's the first iMac I've ever had. Prior to my iMac, I had an 8-core Pro and a 4-core Pro, but I used Dell monitors with those Mac machines. And every time I have calibrated a Mac machine, it's been the gamma that's been off. That is, it's either too bright or too dark. I haven't had color shift issues, but let me tell you how I addressed those. So I get the prints back, I look at the prints, and the prints are darker than what I see on my monitor. So my monitor is brighter. So that instantly tells me my monitor is too bright. So back when I had the Dell monitors and I could adjust it just right on the monitor, I just eyeballed that and I turned down my monitor to match what I was seeing in the print, literally. Then I re-edited those photos, got those images back, and sure enough, they matched. And that's just because my monitor was too bright, which is a common problem on Mac machines. Okay, so I get the new iMac this past year, and the same thing happens. I order prints. The prints are darker than what they appear on my monitor, so I know I have a gamma issue. Now, the way these iMacs are, because they're so fancy, you don't have buttons where you can adjust that. So you have to go into the settings, into monitors and displays, and look at the colors. They will walk you through, and I know Jordan happens to have an iMac very similar to mine. I know that you can go in there and adjust it visually based on your eyes. So that would be very subjective, right? How I see light is not necessarily how you see lights and colors, but you could go through that process. That's software calibration. That is, there's no external hardware device. Go through that process, order the prints again, See how they come back and identify the problem. If they're fixed, again, hallelujah, I don't have to do anything. If they're not fixed, then it's probably time to look into a calibration device, hardware of some sort. Mine was a spider. I think they referenced, I think you said the Color Monkey. Is that correct? Yes. X-ray Color Monkey display. I don't know the difference between those. I'm assuming they're very similar. So you would just put that on your monitor and launch the software that comes with it and let it calibrate it more scientifically than, say, just your eyes looking at it. And then it would assign your monitor a profile. Then once again, edit those photos so that they look right to you on the monitor, order the prints, and take a look. So this could be a multi-step process. Or it might be nothing. So I would start, I would do nothing at first. I would just edit my photos, order prints. If they come back right, you're done. If they do not come back right, then I would go through the software calibration first because it's free. I would assume that Windows also has some type of monitor calibration software built into the operating system. Go through that process first. Then order prints again. They come back wrong again, then it's time to use a hardware device. Stephanie says, I use the Damien Levels Dude instruction. He goes through step-by-step calibrating on a Mac. Have you heard of this? I have not. Why don't you post the link below and we can definitely check it out. Obviously, as photographers, this is really important to us. Color matters because we want to make sure that our clients are getting the photos perfectly color corrected. And you have to be able to trust your monitor and edit on the monitor so that you know the output is going to be consistent. So if your monitor has an auto brightness, oh my goodness, turn it off immediately. That auto brightness will kill you because it would just vary all the time depending on the light outside. Stephanie's gonna post that link. She's never had a problem with a print. Thank you. Raina says, what is the software called that comes with the Mac? It's actually just under your settings. If you go to your settings and you go to displays and then color, you'll find it. Just drill down. It's in there. So it's just native in the operating system settings. So check that out and see what you think. Step through the process. If your prints come back good, don't be a pixel peeper. Just be glad that it worked for you and move on because it can be a real hassle if you have to calibrate. It just can get a little bit confusing. Not a hassle. It's just something you have to do. So hopefully that helps. If anyone's having problems, Stephanie just posted a link. Thank you. You guys can follow that through. I'm not familiar with that, but I will definitely check it out. I hope that helps Jordan. Okay, Raina's question. She says, I have really struggled with flash lighting for formal family portraits lately, especially if it's a dark room. I also can't ever seem to get my off-camera lighting correct for receptions. You know what's funny, Raina? I have a hard time believing you. I don't believe you because I look at your photos and they look good to me. So even if you're struggling, it doesn't show. So that's the good news. For family formals, at the altar in churches, I'm using an off-camera flash setup and I have one flash on my camera, two flashes off my camera, fired with Pocket Wizard Plus 2s that have been complete workhorses for me. They have never once failed. Cables have failed. If you have older versions of Pocket Wizards or any type of trigger that requires cables, I implore you to get backup copies of those cables because they will fail. They just twist, the wires, something happens, they're just not going to work anymore. So make sure you have backup cables. Pocket Wizard, the TT5 and the mini TT1, I've not had tremendous luck with those. I've used them. They're okay. They're just not as reliable, but that's not even the point. The point is you have to use some type of trigger in order to fire the flashes off camera. So I shoot my formals in full manual everything so that I can get it perfect in camera, and once I get it perfect, I can just execute like a machine. I can bam, 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 next, bam, 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 next. My approach is this. I typically build up big groups in order to break them down. So I start with the groom's family. I get the entire groom's family up there, depending on how far out they want to go. Sometimes it's just grandparents and immediate. Sometimes it's aunts, uncles, and cousins. whatever they want is perfect with me. I get them up there, I fire a few, break that down in a smaller group, break that down in a smaller group, and so on. Then I do the bride's family. But the way I'm doing it is with that flash on camera set to manual and the 2 off camera. Why 2? Well, these 2 are on a single monopod. I have Craig hold them over my head, pointing down to cancel out any flash shadows I may get from any light coming forward. Whether or not my flash is pointing forward or up, the one that's on camera, is dependent upon the room. If I have somewhere to bounce, I will absolutely bounce. And if I don't, it's going straight at them. But if I just had this straight at them, I would end up with flash shadows on the back wall behind them. That's why Craig comes in with these flashes from up top, shooting down, cancels out any shadows. 2 flashes on that monopod for faster recycle times. Also with battery packs. Those flashes off camera, for me, happen to be Canon, even though I shoot Nikon. And the reason is I don't communicate ETTL data when shooting off camera flash. I put those flashes in manual mode, so it doesn't matter what flash they are. I always start with those flashes at 1/16. 2 flashes at 1/16 equals 1 flash at 1/8. Just a matter of math at that point. If I have both of those set to 1/8, then I'm at 1/4 power. That's usually way too much. Those flashes, 1/16 typically, or sometimes lower. You know, one of them or both of them at 1/32 has happened. It just depends on the light in the room and how much light I want to fire from my on-camera flash, which typically starts around 1/8. I don't know if that helps you. It's kind of hard to teach off-camera flash via live Facebook video, but this question, I'm answering a question from Raina, and I know she understands all of that because she's been doing it a while. Receptions are the same thing, except those flashes, rather than being on a monopod with Craig over my head pointing them down, they are on a tripod, typically near the DJ speakers. Now, in that case, those 2 flashes, depending on the room, may be pointed up. I may have them both pointed at the dance floor, or I might have one up and one down. It just really depends on the room and the ceiling and where I'm bouncing light. Those are always in manual mode for me. And the reason is I've used ETTL with the TT5 and the TT1, but the reason I like those in manual mode is because I want consistent exposures. And I know the minute I let the camera meter the light and tell those suckers how much to fire, it's gonna screw it up, especially a dark room, because the camera, the pocket wizards, will tell those, hey, psst, it's really dark in here. You better fire a lot of light. Bam! And then the whole thing's lit up like the sun, and that's not what I want for my receptions. I just want a little bit more ambient and enough on my subject to make sure that I'm freezing any motion. Unless, of course, I'm going for motion, which in that case, I shut that pocket wizard off on my camera. Those don't fire. Just this one fires. I slow that shutter speed. I get a lot of ambient light. I get some motion and a pop of light. We're good. I hope that helps, Raina. That was a lot of very fast talking. She says, yes, it helps. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Dana asks, do you include mileage as a business expense when you do taxes? Absolutely yes. There is a formula. The IRS changes it every year. I don't know what it is. I remember from a few years ago, but you can keep a log in your car or do it on your phone, but I will write down the date, the client last name, start miles and end miles, and then you can put that inside of whatever you use. I use QuickBooks in order to calculate mileage because yes, that is absolutely an expense. Melissa asks, can you address how you always look good on camera? Thank you, Melissa. That's very nice. But actually, it's the exposure. For whatever reason, where I'm at in my office, the light is really good. There's a sidewalk, concrete in front of me, and I think it reflects light. It's just good light in here. I actually do not look this good in person, but I don't care. The light helps. And also I think what you're seeing is more of my attitude. I am very happy, full of joy. I love life, and I hope that that comes through. Thank you for saying so. Laura says, is it better to post your prices flat out or have people inquire? I'm trying to transition from cheap to slightly higher prices. but still probably too cheap. Any advice on how to communicate that to regular clients? And Kelsey says, I'm interested in this topic as well, and how much to charge for family sessions per hour or per image. And Kelsey, that's a big question. I cover that in the pricing workshop, so we're not going to be able to cover all of that today. But I will say this, I mean, really, there are two schools of thought on this. You either put your prices on your website or you don't. Let me ask you this, as a consumer, if you're looking for something, are you happy when you go to a website and you can't find prices? Does that make you happy? Because if that happens to me, I'm gone. I don't know if I can even afford you, and I don't want to embarrass myself by calling you and figuring out yes or no. Therefore, it was always my approach to put some, maybe not all, some type of pricing on my website to at least give people an idea of what they might be spending. That way they know, are we in the ballpark? And by the time they contact me, they're pre-qualified. That means that they, I would assume, they've seen the prices and they can afford me. Okay, Leanne actually has a really smart approach to this, and I dig it. I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner. But what she will give her full pricing, but they have to put in their name and email address because Leanne wants to connect with them. By the way, she's really smart with her website and how she flows people through her website. And her ultimate goal is to get them to contact her. So her pricing is available, and she says on there, hey, just put in your name and your email and the pricing will immediately pop up. So it will be there. And she gets a lot of contacts that way. Isn't that smart? Ha ha, good one, Leanne. So it's there, but it's not directly visible. Some clients will, some photographers will say to clients, hey, my prices start at $1,200, but a typical client spends between $2,000 and $3,000 to give people an idea. People just want to know, am I in the right place? Can I really afford you? And you want them to know that. I do not need the affirmation of my phone ringing off the hook or my email filling up with inquiries of people that cannot afford me. It's just not a good use of anybody's time. My approach has always been share the pricing, at least so they know what they're spending. I hope that helps. Tracy said, I recently did a video for the salon page. My voice is awful. Okay, before I continue, you have to stop that train of thinking. Nobody likes to hear their voice on video or audio, but don't say your voice is awful. You just haven't learned to love it yet. Rephrase that thought, reframe that thinking. Okay, I ended up speaking in that high squeak at the end of each sentence. I don't speak like that normally. How do you sound so natural? Also interested in how to raise prices. Thank you for your compliments. I've been teaching for a very long time, and let me tell you something. What it takes is you doing these things over and over and then watching yourself back and critiquing what you do. Less than pleasant, I would say, but I do it. In fact, Ella says to me all the time, why are you watching yourself on video? Because I'm trying to get better. I watch myself, I try to see, oh, I blew that transition, or I shouldn't use those words, or that didn't work. So, but that takes some fortitude, doesn't it? To be able to sit and watch yourself, critique yourself, and then get better. You have to be okay with that. If you want to continue delivering videos, that is, and I would assume you would. Also, it was maybe last year or the year before, I found this course on Creative Live. It's called Heroic Public Speaking. Whoa! I thought that sounded very lofty, but I bought it because I was interested in it. I've been teaching for 10 to 12 years now, and I learned some things I had no clue. It was fantastic. One thing I was most interested in is learning how to control your voice, not just your cadence or your pitch, but how you use it and where it comes from. Because when I teach for a full day, like 6 hours of teaching, my voice would be wrecked. My throat would hurt, I wouldn't be able to speak by the end, and I knew I wasn't using it appropriately, because if people can sing for hours on end and they have voice training, obviously there's a way to do it. That was my thought. I just didn't know how yet because I wasn't trained in it. So I took a class. And since I did that, now when I execute those full day workshops, I'm in a much better vocal position than I ever have been. And by the way, I've never loved my voice, but I can't change it. So it is who I am. You just watch it, you learn to accept it, and you love it, and you get better in areas that you can control. And I would argue that the high-pitched squeaking at the end of a sentence is just probably because you're nervous. And the more you do it, you get less nervous. I hope that helped, Tracy. Dave says, what is the best time to shoot if you can't do early morning or late evening? I have an outdoor portrait session with a 4-year-old on Sunday. What is the best time to shoot if you can't do early morning or late evening? Wait, you put way too many constraints on that, buddy. Of course, early morning or evening is the best time to shoot. That is the best time to shoot. There is no other best time to shoot. I mean, I don't want to shoot in the middle of the day. I mean, it's the middle of the day right now. I'm looking out there. I could shoot in the middle today, and so could you. It's overcast. You could find decent light. It's not horrible. It's just not ideal. It reminds me of when Susie did her mini sessions here last year and the year before. Specifically, I'm thinking about 2 years ago. She did mini sessions from 8:30 until 6 p.m. Okay, you can't tell me from 8:30 to 6 p.m. that the light is always going to be ideal. Not only is it not ideal, but in that particular day, it changed radically throughout the day. She had clouds, dark clouds, she had full sun, and she had snow. And certainly it probably took her some time to edit the photos. She got the best she could on each session. She edited them beautifully, and they look fine. So if it's not going to work out for you during the ideal time, just do your best in the time you're given. I guess it's just a matter of, no matter what time it is, looking around and finding the good light if you can't have that perfect ideal time. So I hope that helps. Next time, don't give me so many constraints, okay? All right, Kim says, what do you think of the Canon 85-1.8 for portraits? I hear it is an excellent pick to have, question mark. I don't have that lens. Does anyone have that and love it? If you do, please leave a comment. I don't have a problem with that lens. It just, to me, if I'm at that focal length, I would rather just use my 70-200. Oh, Leanne has the 85-1.8. Do you use it? Do you love it? I know a lot of people that love their 85. I guess the benefit to having that, besides the aperture, would be that it's not as heavy as a 70-200. But I just felt it was redundant for me. So I use my 70-200. I don't have any problem with the 85-1.8. You know, it's never done anything to me. I would assume it does a fine job with portraits. If you have a cropped sensor camera, I'd be careful, because you would really struggle to use it indoors if that were the case. Leanne says, I use it a lot for portraits when I don't want to carry the heavy 70-200. Okay, so that would be the benefit, is the 70-200. Stephanie says the compression is great, but if you can, go for the 1.4. Raina says she has it, but she likes the 70-200 so much more. How about that? So I think what I would say to that, Kim, is maybe rent it and see if you like that focal length and that particular lens. I know somebody that comes to Camera Club has the 85-1.4. She thought it was just kind of slow to focus and low light. Is that right? Do I have that right? I feel like that's a known issue. Maybe the 1.8's a little bit better. Less heavy, and it has 1.8. I find that to be advantageous, but I just feel like I would probably just pick up my 70-200, even though ergonomically the 85 might be better. Raina says yes. So Leanne says, I rarely shot it at 1.8 with couples, so spending the extra dollars for the 1.4 didn't make sense. Good point. Sarah says the Sigma 1.4 is great, and I bet it's cheaper than the Canon version. Anybody know the prices on these lenses out of curiosity? I know that the 1.4 Canon and Nikon versions they're pretty expensive, aren't they, for that lens? And then the 1.8, obviously not as expensive, and Sigma probably even less so. You could get the Sigma 1.4 maybe for about the same price. Any other thoughts or questions on that lens? Okay, Tracy had a question. She said, I know you did a whole post about the best lens, but I'm wondering what the best lens is for food photography, the 50-1.8 or question mark. I've been offered an opportunity to shoot some food images for a company and was just wondering. I cannot and will not answer that question. You have to define what the challenges are with food photography. I am amazed by how good people are with food photography. It is really difficult. I've tried to photograph my cookies and it's just not my thing. I'm not very good at it. So when I see people good at food photography, I'm always so impressed. I'm not sure what a particular challenge you would face with that type of photography. You just have to ask yourself, what is the challenge? Do I need zoom? Do I need prime? Is aperture an issue? How does that look? Define those challenges, rent some lenses, see what food, you know what I would look up? I would follow some of the really popular food bloggers, of which there are 85,000, and I would find out what they're using. And then I would see how their photos look, and is that the style I'm going for? And then that's probably what I would do, because I'm just not as familiar with that type of photography as I am, obviously, with portrait or people type photography. And I don't know there's a best lens. I don't know that I would use best lens. I think it's just the lens for the job that works best for you. So I'm not sure what that would be, Tracy. I hope that that helps. Leanne says the Nikon 1.8 is $500 and the 1.4 is $1,500. Wow! Unless you're going to use 1.4, I'd say go with that 1.8. The Canon 1.2, Sarah says, Canon 1.2 is very expensive. Sigma 1.4 is around $900. I had, one of my favorite lenses when I shot Canon was the 50 1.2, and it was $1,200. So I imagine the 85 is even more than that, and the Sigma's around $900. So hopefully that helps. Hi Kaylee, how are you? Any other thoughts or questions before I roll on? I have a phone mentoring session this afternoon, the very sharp photographer that I'm really, really looking forward to, because when her and I talk, it is straight up productive. Very, very good. Anything else I can help you with? If not, I'll see you next week. I'll post another Q&A. Make sure you jump over to our Facebook page and like the page. We do daily videos over there. So I did one this morning about Pinterest. It's episode 27. Make sure you go check it out. Oh, Raina, I just saw that. Sorry, Raina says any SEO workshops coming up. There is something in the works, and Leanne and I will let you know as soon as we have more information. Have a great day. I'll see you.